canceled is not happening anymore?
I mean, I'm not saying like it would be done forever. I think that her and I both have sometimes different visions. I love her to death, but I could just see a world where we both had our own things that were very different.
Hey babes, welcome back to the channel, your go-to spot for all the juiciest celeb gossip and trending drama. And today, Tana Mongeau is deep in some messy friend drama. And she's not holding back in the latest episode of Cancelled. This all comes right after the chaos of the JSGate fight, and things are only getting spicier. It started with a fight, not a quiet one, not something behind closed doors, but a full-on blow-up captured on camera and played in front of hundreds of fans. This was JSGate, the infamous clash between Tana Mongeau and her co-host Brooke that nearly shattered their partnership right in the middle of their tour. During one of their European shows, they shocked the audience by screening never-before-seen footage of the argument. It was raw. Tana showed up late, unapologetically saying she didn't need to arrive until the meet and greet started. Brooke, already at her breaking point, snapped. She told Tana that the team was losing money, that being late wasn't just unprofessional, it was selfish. The clip wasn't just awkward, it was uncomfortable. Tana and Brooke went back and forth, hurling passive-aggressive jabs like it was second nature. And when the footage ended, the crowd cheered for Brooke. That moment alone flipped the dynamic. People saw Tana not as the fun, chaotic party girl, but as someone out of touch with reality, and maybe even out of line. Fans couldn't believe the way they spoke to each other, especially knowing that they still had a podcast to record together. And just like that, a fracture that had probably been forming for months was now playing out in real time, for everyone to see. But this wasn't just about one argument, because behind that video was something even deeper. And the next episode of the Cancelled podcast only made things worse. Just when fans thought they had picked a side in the Tana vs. Brooke saga, things flipped. Again! In a follow-up episode of the Cancelled podcast, Brooke turned the tables and started airing her own frustrations. This time, it wasn't about showing up late. It was about showing up at all. Brooke talked about how, during their European tour, she was out exploring the cities with Paige and a close friend known as BBE. Meanwhile, Tana was nowhere to be found. No museums, no late-night dinners, no sightseeing, just silence. Brooke didn't attack her directly, but the message was clear. Tana had checked out. But Tana wasn't having it. She defended herself on the spot, saying she was handling business, important stuff behind the scenes that no one else was willing to take care of. She wasn't slacking off, she was holding things together. And once again, the internet lit up with opinions. Fans in the comments started siding with Tana, accusing Brooke of guilt-tripping her for not playing tourist. The same people who cheered for Brooke just a week earlier were now calling her out for being passive-aggressive. It wasn't just a friendship at stake anymore, it was a power struggle, and everyone watching had an opinion about who was really in control. But while the fight seemed like it was about missed dinners and scheduling conflicts, the truth ran much deeper. Because behind all of this was a Tana Mongeau that people hadn't seen before, quietly spiraling, emotionally overwhelmed, and starting to question everything. And what she said next caught everyone off guard. Quote, in a newer episode of Cancelled, Tana opened up about how even across the world, she couldn't escape the stress her so-called friends were putting on her. Like, girl, she's in Belfast trying to live her best tour life, and people from back home are still ruining her mood? Be serious. She straight up says, "How is someone in California stressing me out this bad when I'm across the globe?" And the way she said it, it wasn't for clout. She sounded drained, tired, like she's genuinely realizing some people in her life just don't bring peace anymore. And then she drops the real tea. She's been sober, she's been growing, and she's over being around people who act drunk and reckless 24/7. She even admitted she used to be one of those people. Super wild, zero filter, just chaos. But now, she's done with that era. It's giving growth, it's giving boundaries, it's giving, I'm too old for this. But here's the thing, while she didn't name names, people instantly started guessing. The internet lit up with theories. Was she throwing shade at Amari? A video had just gone viral of him allegedly acting out at Pride, trying to grab food from a vendor without paying. Security had to step in. Yikes. So now everyone's like, Is this who Tana's talking about? But then, plot twist. Tana and Amari posted TikTok together right after, smiling, vibing. So now we're all confused. Was it him? Or is there someone else she's quietly cutting off? And honestly, that uncertainty might be the real drama here. Because Tana's not just growing out of her party girl era, she might be growing out of her whole inner circle. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or should we say, the TikTok on everyone's FYP. Right after Tana's emotional vent session dropped, fans immediately started pointing fingers. And the name that came up the most? Amari. Longtime bestie, OG ride or die, always by her side. But now, people weren't so sure. Around the same time the podcast aired, a video of Amari started circulating from Pride weekend. And it wasn't cute. In the clip, he's allegedly drunk, stumbling around, and trying to take food from a vendor without paying. Security had to step in and tell him to back off. It was giving Hot Mess Express, and it was not a good look. So obviously, the internet did what it does best, connected the dots. Tana's talking about a friend who's stressing her out, acting reckless and embarrassing her from miles away. And suddenly, the timeline started aligning. People swore she was calling Amari out, but just doing it in that low-key, if you know way. But then, plot twist number 47, Tana and Amari posted TikTok together. They're laughing, vibing, acting like everything's normal. No tension, no drama, just vibes. And now fans are really confused. Was that her way of saying, we're good? Or was it more like damage control to shut down the rumors? Because let's be real, Tana's smart. She knows how to play the internet, and a cute TikTok doesn't erase what she said in the podcast. Some people still think the timeline is off, that the podcast episode was recorded before the Pride incident. Others think she was talking about Amari, but they made up after the fact. And then there's the third theory. Maybe it wasn't about Amari at all. Maybe the real issue is still hiding behind the scenes. But either way, one thing's clear. Tana's relationships are shifting. Fast. And no one really knows who's in or out of her inner circle anymore. And while everyone's still decoding the subtle shade and who it's really aimed at, Tana drops a bomb that flips the conversation completely. She goes on impulsive, yes, that podcast, and casually hints that canceled might be coming to an end. Like, canceled. And she doesn't even try to sugarcoat it. She says straight up that the version of herself who started the podcast, that girl is gone. Back then, she and Brooke were just two chaotic besties filming behind a dumpster, quite literally. But now, the vibes are off, and the energy isn't the same. Tana talks about how showing up every week to gossip about pop culture has started to feel like a chore. She doesn't feel aligned with the content, the schedule, or even the vision anymore. And here's where it gets real. She admits that she and Brooke just don't see eye to eye when it comes to business. She literally says, as friends, amazing. But business-wise, it's hard. And you could hear it in her voice. This isn't about podcast content. It's about a deeper misalignment, different goals, different vibes, different paths. And that's when fans really started to clock it. Because, let's be honest, when best friends stop agreeing on business, it never ends well. You can love someone to death, but if the brand stops working, so does the friendship. And the fact that Tana said she's starting to fantasize about the end of the canceled contract, yeah, that wasn't a slip. That was her saying she's already halfway out the door. It's not explosive, it's not some big fight, but it's giving slow fade. It's giving quiet quit. And most of all, it's giving the end of an era. By now, even the fans who were in denial started waking up. Tana wasn't just hinting at the end, she was counting down to it. The energy shifted from creative differences to full-on quiet quitting, and the internet noticed. On Reddit, Twitter, TikTok, people started pointing out that Tana had been slowly distancing herself from Brooke for a while. She wasn't promoting episodes like she used to, the banter felt forced, and in that impulsive interview, she straight up said she was awaiting the end of the contract for her peace. Let that sink in, not for business reasons, not to rebrand, for peace. And that's when people really started calling it out for what it was. The slow, silent breakup of a best friend duo. One fan even commented, Tana doesn't hate Brooke, She's just over the whole dynamic. The podcast, the pressure, the vibe. She's done. Tana did respond publicly, saying, "I love Brooke. Don't twist that." But she also added, "Eventually there will be a new era. People grow, and we need to." Which, let's be real, is a super polite way of saying, this chapter is closing. They even posted an episode titled, "Why the Canceled Podcast is Ending," where they confirmed their contract wraps at the end of the year. And while they tried to keep it positive, the tone made it pretty obvious. Tana's already mentally out. Brooke's probably known it for a while. And the podcast? It's basically coasting to the finish line. But here's the part that hits the hardest. Tana admitted this was the last loose thread in her so-called peace era, that the only thing standing between her and full peace of mind was this podcast. And if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does.